will be giving the 2 AC.
And the negative team.
Good morning, my name is Serenity Donaldson, and I will be giving the second negative constructive.
Good morning, my name is Ezra Cross, and I will be giving the first negative constructive speech.
Are the judges ready? The videos ready? My timer is set at 8 minutes. Imagine waking up one morning and getting an entire hour of your life taken away from you. Every year, Americans are required to shift their clocks, disrupting their sleep, all for a policy created over a century ago that no longer is needed. Daylight saving time was introduced as a wartime conservation strategy, but today it causes measurable unnecessariness. It increases economic inefficiency and unnecessary confusion. This is not just about convenience, it's about taking care of our body and not wasting precious minutes. Sadly, during the time of daylight savings, there are increased risks of heart attacks, strokes, car accidents, severe sleep deprivation, higher rates of depression, and reduced cognitive performance. We can minimize the body and mental harm that the DST creates if we just abolish it. Good afternoon, or good morning. My partners, Maggie Rodakowski, Carrie Seuss, and I, Rebecca Aries, stand for the resolution that the federal government should abolish the daylight saving time. Now I will begin with definitions. Definition 1, abolish. To end the observance or effect of, such as a law, to completely do away with something, by Merriam-Webster Dictionary. Daylight saving time. Time usually 1 hour ahead of standard time, by Merriam-Webster. Definition 3, circadian rhythm. The cyclical 24-hour period of human biological activity, by Britannica. Now I will be moving on to harms. Harm 1, DST is bad for health, by Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, by Morgan Wilson. From Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, by Morgan Wilson. Quote, the scientific evidence points to acute increases in adverse health consequences from changing sleep clocks, including in heart attacks and stroke, says sleep expert Adam Spira, PhD, MA, and a professor in mental health. The change is also associated with a heightened risk of mood disturbances and hospital admissions, as well as elevated production of inflammatory markers in response to stress. The potential for car crashes also spikes. Just after this report, Spira says, a 2020 study found that the switch raises the risk of fatal traffic accidents by 6%. End quote. The human body loses even just 1 hour sleep. It can disrupt the delicate balance of the circadian rhythm, the internal clock that regulates sleep, wakefulness, and many other biological processes. This disruption may seem minor at first, but it can have noticeable effects on both physical and mental well-being. A misaligned circadian rhythm can lead to increased fatigue, difficulty concentrating, and irritability throughout the day. Over time, repeated disturbances like this may contribute to more significant health concerns, such as weakened immune function, heightened stress levels, and a greater risk of mood disorders like anxiety or depression. Even small changes in sleep patterns can therefore have a cascading impact on overall health and emotional stability. Harm 2, DST hurts the economy. DST hurts the economy. From Encyclopedia Britannica. Quote, William F. Sugar II, economist at Utah State University, states that the simple act of changing clock costs Americans $1.7 billion in lost opportunity cost based on average hourly wages, meaning that the 10 or so minutes spent moving clocks, watches, and devices forward and backwards could be spent on something more productive. The Air Transport Association estimated that the DST cost the airline industry $147 million in 2007, thanks to confused time schedules with countries that do not participate in the time change. A review of metropolitan areas in the U.S. found an economic cost of over $670 million due to the workplace injuries, traffic accidents, heart attacks, and strokes, and lost productivity. Anyway, it is a waste of both money and time for hardworking individuals who dedicate long hours each day to supporting and strengthening the economy. These are people who consistently show up, put in effort, and make sacrifices in order to provide for themselves, their families, and their communities. When the time and financial resources are misused or taken for granted, it can feel frustrating and unfair, especially considering the level of commitment and responsibility they carry. rewarded with efficiency, respect, and meaningful outcomes, they may find themselves dealing with unnecessary obstacles or inefficiencies that only add to their stress. Now, moving on to our plan. The affirmative team will be solving these problems by abolishing the daylight saving times. Our mandate is American states will eliminate DST and use permanent standard time. After the November time change, standard time will be used permanently. Our agency is the federal government. Our funding is none is necessary because our plan is purely legislative, but any unforeseen costs will come from the general budget. Our enforcement is Department of Transportation. I will now move on to the advantages. Advantage 1, better circadian rhythm. From Sleep Education by American Academy of Sleep Medicine. Quote, standard time is best aligned with human circadian biology. During standard time, your body clock, the timing of sunrise and sunset, and local clock time are more in sync than during daylight saving time. This alignment enables most people to sleep better at night and be more alert during the day. Without daylight saving time, our bodies are able to follow a more natural and consistent sleep schedule, allowing us to feel more refreshed and healthier overall. When our internal clocks are not constantly being adjusted, our circadian rhythm stays more stable, which helps improve the quality of our sleep. As a result, we wake up feeling more energized, alert, and mentally prepared to take on the day ahead. This consistency can also have positive effects on our physical and emotional well-being. Furthermore, better for our workers in the global world. Better for our workers in the global world. From AP News by Avery Dana. Quote, as the Boston Herald puts it, every October there's a week when Europe and the U.S. are out of sync with daylight saving time, potentially confusing people organizing international meetings. The confusion isn't just theoretical. It's a practical headache for anyone juggling transatlantic appointments, flights, or live broadcasts. Suddenly, that 9 a.m. call in New York is at 1 p.m. in London, not the usual 2 p.m. A small difference, but one that can mean the world when time is tight. Already, our hardworking fathers and mothers are putting in immense physical and mental labor at their jobs every single day, often pushing themselves to their limits just to provide for their families and keep up with daily responsibilities. With so much already on their plates, even small disruptions, like those caused by daylight saving time, can cause unnecessary strain to their routines. If you were to remove daylight saving time, it could help ease that burden by allowing for a more consistent and natural sleep. This law is outdated and does not serve the purpose it was originally created for. What may have been necessary years ago now is inefficient and restrictive in a global and modern economy. Instead of protecting people like it was meant to, it is putting jobs, livelihoods, and even personal safety at risk. Millions of individuals, including workers and businesses in Europe, Asia, and beyond, are affected by this law. Many states have already recognized that it is no longer aligned with states' economic and social realities. When so many states are calling for change, it raises the question, why are we still holding on to something that does more harm than good? If a law is no longer benefits the people it was meant to serve, then the people responsible for the legislation should remove what is no longer promised. Therefore, my partners, Maggie Bernikowski, Kersi Kanai, Rebecca Ayers, urge the judges to vote for the resolution that the federal government should abolish daylight saving time. Thank you. I'm now ready for my cross-examination.
Minutes on the clock. Can I have a copy of your 1AC? Okay, you said many states are calling for the switch to standard time. Do you know how many that is?
So currently there is only 2 states that do not use the daylight saving times, but there is a few states that have protested against using the DST.
Okay. Are you aware that no states have opted out of DST since 1973?
No, I was not aware.
Okay. You said that there's an increase in heart attacks. Do you know what percent that is?
Let me look.
Yeah, I believe it was 6%.
Like, you sure? I think that you said that was for car crashes, right? So you don't actually have a percent for the heart attacks, right?
I don't believe so.
Okay. So you said there was a 6% increase in car crashes. Do you know what percent were actually fatal?
6%.
6% are fatal, or there's just a 6% increase in all car crashes?
Oh,
Okay. So your plan is basically reducing the amount of sunlight people get, right?
no.
Well, you're getting less sunlight in the evenings, right?
Yes, but you're reducing health risks.
Right, but isn't the reason daylight savings is called daylight savings is because it's saving daylight so it can be more?
Yes.
Okay, so that means that more people end up walking around in the dark, right?
Well, they can just find a certain hour of the day to be in the sunlight, and not really.
Right, but it still ends up happening, right?
Yes.
And that's dangerous, isn't it? No further questions.
Starting prep time at 5 minutes. Are the judges ready? Is the affirmative team ready? 8 minutes on the clock. Why do we have daylight savings? Daylight savings increases the hours of sunlight we have each day. Why is that important? Well, according to Britannica.com, quote, longer daylight hours make driving safer, lowers car accident rates, and lowers the risk of pedestrians being hit by a car, end quote. With more sunlight in the evenings, the crime rate goes down, crash rates lower, and the health of society improves. People spend more time outside shopping, walking dogs, and playing sports, while permanent standard time brings darkness sooner each evening, costing the economy millions of dollars. DST saves lives, improves health, and lowers the likelihood of depression. It is for these reasons that my partner, Serenity Donaldson, and I, Ezra Cross, stand against the resolution that the United States federal government should abolish daylight savings time. My partner and I are happy to agree with the affirmative team's definitions. So let's go over some harms that the affirmative team has brought up with the status quo. My opponent says that daylight savings is bad for our health. However, we say standard time is more dangerous. Standard time is more dangerous. We know this because, as stated on reflector.edu, quote, more daylight also means more safe time for people to be outside after work. Daylight in the evenings makes it safer for joggers, people walking dogs after work, and children playing outside. 75% of pedestrian fatalities occurred in darkness, and nearly 90% of the increase in pedestrian fatalities from 2009 to 2018 occurred in darkness. This means more exercise, family time, and outdoor games, which in turn can increase physical and mental health, end quote. When drivers can see joggers, kids, and dog walkers more clearly, far fewer pedestrians are hit and killed, which matters a lot because 75% of accidents already happen in the dark. As more evening daylight encourages people to spend time outside, exercise, and be with family instead of staying indoors and inactive, communities gain better physical health, improved mental well-being, and stronger family bonds. My opponent also argues that daylight savings hurts the economy. However, our stance is that DST improves lives. Improves lives. A reason for this is indicated on Britannica.com, where they mention that, quote, the golf industry reports that 1 month of DST was worth $200 to $400 million because of the extended evening hours golfers can play. The barbecue industry estimates their profits increased by $150 million for 1 month of DST. In 2007, an estimated $59 million was saved because fewer robberies were committed thanks to the sun being up later. End quote. Millions of dollars are saved each year by this simple time change. The economy drastically improves so that fewer people and businesses are able to spend much more time outside with sunlight. Fewer crimes are committed under these conditions, which result in individuals feeling secure while outside in the evenings. The affirmative team also mentioned that 2 states opt for standard time. However, this is far short of the majority. So now let's go over what the affirmative team claims will benefit from if their plan is taken seriously. My opponent says that there will be better circadian alignment, but we say less vitamin D, less vitamin D. Britannica.com states that, quote, in 2022, those wanting to stay on standard time all year had dropped to 13%. Those opting for DST had risen to 44%, while 35% would keep the time change twice a year, end quote. Even though daylight savings time causes people's sleep schedules to shift temporarily, they certainly do not seem to mind and would rather have DST or continue to change than have a permanent standard time. My opponent says there will be no more wasted resources. However, our perspective is that DST saves millions, According to an article in South Wales about the benefits of DST, quote, when sunlight hits a specific area of the retina in your eyes, this actually triggers the release of serotonin, the feel-good chemical in the brain. An increase in serotonin is linked to higher mood levels. In fact, a lack of sunlight can lead to a condition called seasonal affective disorder, sometimes called winter depression. This disorder, characterized by low mood, is most common during the winter months where there are fewer hours of daylight, end quote. More evening daylight does not just change our schedules. When we have more regular exposure to sunlight during the hours people are actually awake and active, fewer people slip into depression. That means decisions about keeping daylight savings time or later daylight are really decisions about protecting the mental health of millions of people, reducing rates of depression, and helping students and workers stay happier, more focused, and more productive throughout the darker months. In conclusion, daylight savings is an essential role in helping the safety and well-being of citizens. More evening sunlight makes streets safer for drivers and pedestrians, cuts down on robberies and violent crime, and encourages and gives families the opportunity to spend more time outside exercising and connecting with each other. DST strengthens our economy by giving people more daylight hours to shop, work, and support local businesses, while improving mood and reducing depression by increasing in healthy sunlight exposure. The affirmative's plan to abolish daylight savings throws away these safety, health, and economic advantages. While changing the time may cause small inconveniences for a week, DST brings overall major benefits. Therefore, my partner, Serenity Donaldson, and I, Ezra Cross, encourage the judges to vote against the resolution that the U.S. federal government should abolish daylight savings time. Thank you. I'm now ready for cross-examination. Ending the clock at 1 minute and 44 seconds.
Everyone else ready? Is the negative team ready? Timer set 3 minutes. And the microphone is fixed, I think. Okay. Let's begin. Do you think that health is important?
Yes.
Wouldn't you say that a loss of sleep can contribute to negatively affect your health?
Yes, I do.
So shouldn't we try to eliminate anything that can make us have us lose an hour of sleep?
Not necessarily, because if that happens twice a year, but there are overall benefits coming from the change, then the benefits outweigh the downfall.
Can you name some benefits?
Well, there are fewer accidents. There's less health issues, less people fall into depression.
During DTS, or during daylight savings time, are you aware that more heart attacks go up?
No, I was not aware of that.
Okay. Why would we keep a law that can negatively affect our bodies?
Because the benefits outweigh the downfalls.
Even though it's hurting more and more civilians?
It's not hurting more and more civilians. I'd have to disagree with you on that one.
Okay, after the affirmative team has stated about the economy, wouldn't you agree that the amount of money lost due to daylight saving time can negatively affect the economy? Okay. So, are you aware that the economy loses millions of dollars each year due to daylight savings?
No.
Okay. Well, so. Do you know that daylight savings time doesn't just make more sunlight appear off in the air? It just shifts the time back. Oh, yeah. So there's more sunlight in the morning.
Yes, but that is the point of daylight savings time.
In daylight savings time, it has us to where the mornings are darker, right?
Yes.
So standard time makes it earlier in the morning, easier for drivers to see. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
So wouldn't it be losing daylight saving? So daylight saving time in the morning is better for drivers, and that can lead to the economy.
No, because often many more accidents happen when it's dark in the evening times. The morning is usually a lot more safer when it's dark than if the evening's dark.
Okay, thank you.
Are the judges ready? Negative team? Okay. 8 minutes on the clock. Okay. Before I get into my 2AC, I want to address some arguments that the negative team has made. First of all, their main argument is that we're getting more hours of daylight, but this is just not true, because no matter what we do, we will always have the same amount of daylight in one day. We can't really change how much daylight we're getting, how much sunlight we're getting. Oh, and I also have the percent of heart attacks that increase. Quote, the rate at which people experience or are hospitalized for heart attacks and stroke and other fatal cardiac events goes up significantly after DST. For instance, the University of Alabama at Birmingham found a 10% increase in heart attacks the Monday after DST began. Similarly, the American Academy of Neurology presented evidence in 2016 that stroke risk rises by 8%. Yeah, and then quote, okay, I have a quote from Joanna Fong Isuri Wangze. She says, quote, imagine a world where the simple decision, keeping our clocks aligned with the natural cycle of the sun, could save lives, prevent accidents, and improve mental well-being. It's not just an hour of lost sleep. It's about a small disruption ripple through our health and workplaces and even our children's futures. I'm a neurologist who specializes in sleep health. I've seen firsthand the negative impacts of poor sleep. It has enormous personal and economic consequences, end quote. Let's just begin with my harms. So the negative team tried to tell you that standard time is more dangerous because it's darker in the evenings, which they're just saying that it's more important to have a safe travel home from work than a safe travel to get your kids to school. Because just because it's darker in the evening doesn't make it safer for everybody, because there's a lot of kids who need to get to school early in the mornings, and if we're having daylight savings time, they're having dark mornings, which means they're walking to school in the dark or waiting for the bus in the dark, which is not safe. So my harm one is daylight savings time is bad for your health. Daylight savings time is bad for your health. Quote, changing sleep patterns even by 1 hour goes against a person's natural circadian rhythm and has negative consequences for health. One study found that the risk of heart attacks increases 10% the Monday and Tuesday following the springtime change. And that is from Britannica. Not only that, but daylight savings time is increasing car accidents. Quote, DST also increases the risk that car accidents will be fatal by 5 to 6.5%, causing 30 more deaths from car accidents annually. The negative team also tried to tell you that it improves life because some golfing place and the barbecue industry are getting more money. But that's not what I have here. My harm two is daylight savings time hurts the economy. Daylight savings time hurts the economy. Quote, chronic sleep deprivation does more than leave people tired. Poor sleep leads to workplace mistakes, car accidents, and long-term health issues that strain businesses, families, and the economy as a whole. And my source for that is pbs.org. Not only is this wasting our money, it is not doing what it was originally designed to do. This law is more than 100 years old and was established in 1918. Now, I'm not saying that old laws don't matter because most of our laws are pretty old, but this one was designed to save energy during wartime, and it's really not doing that. Quote, the mandatory time changes were first implemented nationally in the United States on March 31st, 1918 as a temporary wartime effort to save coal and oil used for heating and lighting homes and businesses, end quote. And the key word there was temporary. Quote, studies of the effects of daylight savings time have been famously inconclusive. While many studies disagree about the effects of daylight savings time on energy consumption, most agree that results are fairly limited, usually claiming energy consumption is either increased or decreased by only around 1%. One meta-analysis of 44 studies concluded that, on average, reports indicate a 0.34% reduction in electricity consumption on daylight savings days. However, varied results can be explained by a variety of factors such as methodology and the location of the study. And my source for that is stanford.edu. This law was put here to save energy, and it's barely saving any energy, and it's hurting people. So why should we keep it if it's not doing good anymore? My third observation is the plan, which we already explained, so I'm going to go on to advantages. My first advantage is better circadian alignment. Better circadian alignment. Quote, Dr. Beth Malo, a neurologist at Vanderbilt University Medical Center, also testified. She agreed it would be healthier for Americans to stop changing their clocks, and she thinks permanent standard time is a better choice. Quote, it's called standard time because ST lines up with our natural biological rhythms. She said, permanent standard time with sunnier mornings and darker evenings would be healthier, especially for frontline workers and school students with early waking hours. And my source for that is npr.org. Quote, in humans, nearly every tissue and organ has its own circadian rhythm, and collectively they are tuned to the daily cycle of day and night. There's a reason it's called a circadian rhythm and not a circadian change your sleep pattern by an hour twice a year and mess up that rhythm. Like, it's called that for a reason, and having standard time in place would be keeping that rhythm going and not disrupting it. My second advantage is it's better for workers in the global world. The reason it's better for everyone everywhere is that there are no more wasted resources. Quote, chronic sleep deprivation does more than leave people tired. It costs an estimated $411 billion annually in lost productivity and healthcare costs. Poor sleep leads to workplace mistakes, car accidents, and long-term health issues that strain businesses, families, and the economy as a whole. $411 billion annually. That's a lot of money, and it doesn't really compare to, I think it was like 5 million or something that the barbecue industry was getting. This law just isn't helping anyone anymore, and it's not doing good for anyone and what it was originally designed for. That is why I strongly urge the judges to vote for the affirmative and vote for the resolution that the United States federal government should abolish daylight savings time. Thank you. I am now ready for cross-examination.
Good morning. Are you aware that businesses save millions of dollars because of daylight savings time?
No, because my source said they're losing 411 billion annually.
Well, did you know that the golf industry saves $500 million every year just because of daylight savings time?
Yes, I think you mentioned that, but 5 million is a lot less than 400 billion.
I said 500 million.
Oh, I'm sorry. 500 million is a lot less than 400 billion.
Did you know that murder decreased by 48% because of daylight savings time?
I did not know that.
Why do you think daylight savings time has lasted so long?
I don't know. It doesn't really make sense to me.
Do you agree that crime is more likely to happen in the dark?
Not necessarily.
Well, would you agree that do you feel safer when it's light outside?
Yes, I do, and that's why I think that students should have, students should be able to walk to school in the light instead of the dark.
What about in the evening time?
4 in the morning isn't dark.
Did you know that only 15% of Americans want permanent standard time?
I think so.
Which is more important, making sure our body clocks align with the sun or stopping a 506% increase in rain?
I would say the second one, but the second one is also one that we can control. It's a lot easier to control crime rates, and to prevent things like that, but we can't really control our health as much or as easily.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Are the judges ready? Affirmative team? Okay, the timer is set at 8 minutes. People need daylight savings more than they realize. So many deaths and injuries are prevented and hundreds of millions of dollars are saved because of the extra light. People spend more time outdoors in the evenings, exercising and improving their health. Drivers are able to see pedestrians so much more easily, and crimes are much less frequent because of the extra daylight. On top of all that, NPR.org says 56% of adults polled said they prefer permanent daylight savings time with less light in the morning and more light in the evening. Out of the other 44%, some didn't care and others said they wouldn't mind continuing to switch back and forth. It is for this reason my partner, Ezra Cross, and I, Serenity Donaldson, remain opposed to the resolution the United States federal government should abolish daylight savings time. So my opponent's harm one is daylight savings is bad for your health. but we say standard time is more dangerous. Standard time is more dangerous. Quote, after the shift to DST in the spring, robbery rates decreased by an average of 51%. 48% decrease in reported murder and 506% decrease in reported rapes. Applying DST resulted in $558 million in savings from avoided costs per year. This is from findlaw.com. The affirmative team said that there's a 6% increase in the risk of fatal accidents, but this is only an increase in risk. It's not an increase happening, it's just the risk that it might happen. Although it would be nice not to have to switch the clock each year, moving to permanent standard time is not the answer. During DST, crime rates quickly decrease and millions of dollars are saved each month from prevented robberies, car accidents, and murders. With the extra sunlight, more people go outside to walk, play sports, and shop. This improves the economy's health and welfare. Whereas with standard time, it darkens quickly each evening, giving more time for criminals to rob and steal each day. My opponent also argues that daylight savings hurts the economy, but we say daylight savings improves lives. Quote, also, daylight in the evenings makes it safer for joggers, people walking their dogs after work, and children playing outside, among others, because drivers are able to see people more easily and criminal activity is lowered. Later sunlight means more people shopping after work, increasing retail sales, and more people driving, increasing gas and snack sales for 8 months of the year. This is from Britannica.com. With so many people spending time outside in the evenings, the economy is thriving. If we only have permanent standard time, we will permanently have dark evenings with not much time to eat, go to the beach, or shop before dark. The affirmative team said that the Air Transportation Association lost $147 million, but that was in 2007, and they don't have a quote for anything more recent. So clearly the problem has gone away. They also never said when this quote was said or where it was published. The affirmative team also agreed that only 13% of Americans want standard time. And we don't want to do something that the American people don't want. They've also said better criterion alignment, better circadian alignment, but we say you get less vitamin D. Quote, in a 2020 poll, 55% of Americans said they are not disrupted by the time change. 28% reported a minor disruption, and 13% said they felt a major disruption. However, for the 13% who did not like the disruption, wanted sunlight, however, for the 13% who did not like the disruption, they want the sunlight to become permanent. That was from reflectorunity.edu. Clearly, most Americans are not even bothered by the slight sleep disruption caused by the change, and the few who are would rather have DST rather than permanent standard time. If the affirmative plan is passed, we will be going against what the American people want. They've also said no more wasted resources. However, our perspective is DST saves millions. Quote, a 2015 study found a 7% decrease in robberies following the shift to DST, with the largest impact, 27%, during the sunset hours directly affected by the shift in daylight. It estimated that the 2007 extension resulted in $59 million per year in social costs of crime savings from avoided robberies. From reflectorunity.edu. My opponent said that there will no longer be wasted resources if we move to permanent standard time. As you can see, this quote shows that at least $59 million will be saved each year from robberies alone. Injuries and deaths will also be prevented since there will be less robberies and other criminal activities with more daylight savings in the evening, more daylight in the evening. Daylight savings time has been embedded in the U.S. infrastructure for decades. Transportation, interstate conference, broadcast schedules, financial markets, and international coordination are built around it. By permanently abolishing this, the affirmative team is disrupting a well-synchronized system. Structural change demands strong solvency and clear net benefits. The opposing team has not satisfied these expectations. Thus, my partner Ezra Cross and I, Serenity Donaldson, strongly urge the judges to vote against the resolution. The United States federal government should abolish daylight savings time. Thank you. I am now ready for cross-examination. Stopping the timer with 1 minute and 6 seconds remaining.
Okay, are the judges ready? Is the negative team ready? Am I ready? Timer is set 3 minutes. Again. Are you aware that standard time aligns better with the natural circadian rhythm?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you mentioned that the daylight saving time has been instituted and been better as a synchronized system, but it negatively affects our health by disrupting the amount of sleep we get.
Well, it disrupts your sleep, but your health actually gets benefited a whole lot more if you don't have daylight savings. There's a lot more crime and murder, and that's a whole lot worse than slight sleep disruption.
Are you aware that a lost hour of sleep can cause depression and anxiety and many other health issues?
It could.
And doesn't that also mean distracted people, like distracted drivers, who can cause accidents?
Well, that kind of ends up happening anyway.
Yes, but is often worsened by a lost hour of sleep.
It might be.
Okay. Could you restate how much money the barbecue industry is getting?
Yes, let me find the quote. I don't know, I think we have right here 558 million in savings from avoided costs per year.
558 million is a lot for gain in the economy. Is a lot less money than a $411 billion loss.
Yeah, but you never said that, like, if there were any other factors about that 411 billion. You just said that was safe, but we don't know if there was any other factors.
The 411 billion that was lost due to daylight savings time.
Can you prove that it was just daylight savings?
It was stated in the quote, it was due to daylight savings. Are you aware that we can control crime better than we can control our health?
I'm not sure about that.
We have police forces, don't we?
Yes.
And can they not, they do stop crime, and most crime.
No, they don't really stop most of it.
A lot of crime in the country is, maybe not a lot, but without police force and everyone, the crime rates go down, or the crime rates would go up.
It would be worse if we didn't have a police force.
And even though we may have doctors and that can help our health, with that much people getting heart attacks. Okay.
Are the judges ready? Is the affirmative team ready? 8 minutes on the clock. So, in the quote I have here, quote that we have stated in the former speech, quote, in a 2022 study, those wanting to stay on standard time all year had jumped to 13%, while those opting for DST had risen to 44%. 35% of the time change, 35% of people opt for keeping the time change twice a year, end quote. So why should the government perform something that the citizens clearly don't want? The majority is not on the side of standard time. In another quote, in a 2020 poll, 55% of Americans said they are not disrupted by the time change. 28% reported a minor disruption, and 13% said the change is a major disruption. However, for the 13% who do not like the disruption but want the sunlight to become permanent. End quote. So businesses also save millions of dollars because of daylight savings time. Quote, in 2022, quote, the golf industry reports that 1 month of DST was worth $200 to $400 million because of the extended evening hours golfers can play. The barbecue industry estimates their profits increased by $150 million for 1 month of DST. In 2007, an estimated $59 million was saved because fewer robberies were committed thanks to the sun being up later. End quote. So basically, lots of money is being saved by daylight savings time. So the risk of fatal car crashes only increases by 6%. The risk only increases. So that doesn't mean there is certainly going to be a 6% increase in car crashes. And then we have that the golf industry reports that 1 month. And so for the risk, so for further on the saving of money for daylight savings time, quote, after the shift to DST in the spring, robbery rates decreased by an average of 51%, 48% decrease in reported murders, and a 506% decrease in reported rape. Applying DST results in $558 million in savings from avoided costs per year. We are saving millions of dollars. Daylight savings saves millions of dollars and prevents many crimes and makes basically the public way safer. So it is a law. So if it's safer, if daylight savings makes it safer and saves money, why should we take away this privilege from the citizens? So it is for these reasons that my partners, Randy Donaldson, and I, Ezra Cross, stand against the resolution that the United States federal government should abolish daylight savings time. Thank you. Ending with 3 minutes and 21 seconds on the clock.
Are the judges ready? Starting. because our entrepreneurs need that money. And golf and barbecue are less than our business interests. And as I have said before, there has been fewer accidents. I'm sorry, the negative team has said that there has been fewer accidents and that our evidence says that there is an increase by 6% by the risk. But it's a risk. That means they're showing you how you can prevent accidents. And they also say that health has improved, but we have evidence to say that it actually doesn't. As well, they say that DST saves millions, but they are unaware that we are losing money. Because, quote, chronic sleep deprivation does more than leave people tired. It costs an estimated $411 billion annually in lost productivity and healthcare costs. Poor sleep leads to workplace mistakes, car accidents, and long-term health issues that strain businesses, families, and the economy as a whole. End quote. This is by PBS.org on March, by Joanna Fong-Isa on March 8th, 2025. So I ask you a question, judges. Would you rather have vitamin D, sunlight, or would you have your health, good and restoration? There are vitamin D pills that you can take, though they're not ideal, they still save you from health. And you can just go out in the sun early. One of the quotes that the negative team has brought up is that 35% out of 100 do want the time change, whereas that means 65% don't. My main point here, judges, is that our health is more important than sunlight, because sunlight, you can just go in the morning and you can just be refreshed then, but our health is spontaneous. It can come and go whenever it wants. Stopping the time at 2 minutes and 8 seconds.
Starting time at 2 minutes and 9 seconds. Put up time at 33 seconds. Are the judges ready? Affirmative team? Okay, timer is set at 5 minutes. Okay. So, our first voting issue is that the affirmative team says standard time is dangerous because of your health getting your criterion alignment is off. But we have proven that murder rates decrease by 48%, robberies also decrease, and the decrease of rapes is by 506%. And they haven't responded to the fact that if we just stay on DST, we're preventing all of these from going up. Also, they've said that standard time saves $411 billion, but just as an example, the golf industry saves $400 million each month, which actually totals out to be 3,200 billion. And this is only from golf. Like, there's so many other places that are just saving so much money. It totals out to be way more than 411 billion. They also said that 56% of people don't want standard time because we said that 44% want daylight saving times, but what the actual quote says is, quote, those wanting to stay on standard time had dropped to 13%. Those opting for DST had risen to 44%, while 35% repeat the time change twice a year. So clearly, it's not 56% would like to have standard time. It's 13%. So my second voting issue are the stock issues. So for topitality, the affirmative team's plan is to switch to standard time. Solvency, their plan won't actually solve anything. We have seen lots of benefits from daylight savings time, and we haven't seen any from standard time. Any small benefits that might be gained, all the negative outcomes outweigh those small benefits. Inherency, their plan has not even been done. Significance, their plan isn't significant because, first of all, since only 13% of Americans want to go on to standard time all year round, if we pass their plan, we will be going against what the American people want. Only 2 states are actually on standard time, so clearly everyone else would rather continue to shift or have permanent daylight savings time. The amounts of rapes and murders also significantly decrease with daylight savings because of the extra daylight. And health is improved because with more daylight in the evenings, people are much more likely to go outside on walks or go play sports and exercise instead of staying inside because it's dark outside. In conclusion, the affirmative team has tried to convince you that DST is dangerous and permanent standard time is the only way to stay safe. However, they have overlooked many of the dangers of standard time and the benefits of DST. Standard time causes us to have less light in the evenings. Because of this, crime and murder rates go up. DST saves $59 million annually from prevented robberies alone, and on top of that, $3,200 billion from the golf industry. Only 13% of Americans want to have permanent standard time, so passing this plan will go against the public's wish. Permanent standard time is dangerous, unnecessary, and will cause lots of problems. It is for these reasons that my partner, Ezra Cross, and I, Serenity Donaldson, urge the judges to vote against the resolution the United States federal government should abolish daylight savings time. Thank you. Stopping the clock at 22 seconds.
Clock time at 52 seconds. Are the judges ready? The negative team? 8 minutes on the clock. Okay, so before I get started, I just want to address one of the negative team's argument about the golfing industry their source is from Britannica, and they say that it's saving 200 to 400 million a month, but then they did the math, and we don't know if they did the math by saying it was 400 million a month, or they did 200 million, so whatever number they got, they didn't, nobody can fact check them, and it's not going to be accurate because the source was 200 to 400 million, so they had to just guess a number somewhere in the middle of that to multiply it. The second thing I want to bring up is the negative team is saying we should just stay in daylight savings time instead of standard time, but our resolution is to abolish daylight savings time, which would mean staying in standard time. And they want to stay in daylight savings time because you'll have lighter evenings. So basically they're just saying that they prefer to have kids walking to school in the dark than in the light. And they're saying that the U.S. doesn't want they're saying that the U.S. doesn't want us to be in standard time, and that they say that abolishing daylight savings time would be against what America wanted, but that is not true because they also said in that quote that only 35% of people actually want us to still have daylight savings time, which means having daylight savings time isn't what America wants. Okay, my first voting issue is health issues. The negative team says that crime is more important than your health, and that is all opinion, so I'll let y'all make up your mind on that. But we already have things in place to be preventing crime rates, but it's a lot harder to control your health than it is to control these crime rates. because crime is something we can prevent, and our health is a lot more fickle. My second voting issue is money wasted. They continue to argue that they're saving money, but if we're getting millions, if the golf and barbecue industry are getting millions, but then we're losing billions in lost productivity and things like that, that leaves us in the negative. Because their number they said was 3,200 billion, but that's not even an accurate number. My third voting issue is that we are safer in the light. They asked me on cross if I felt safer in the light or the dark, and I agreed with them and said that I feel safer in the light. So why would we make kids walk to school in the dark if they're not going to feel safe and they might not even be safe? My final voting issue is the stock issues, or SIT. So first, I'm going to start with significance, and is it significant? And we've shown you that it is significant. People are getting injured and losing money and maybe even losing their lives. Like I had that statistic that said we're losing 30 annual deaths just from this law. Why would we keep a law that's hurting people? And 30 people might not seem like that much of a difference, but try telling that to somebody who knows somebody who got lost in a car accident right after daylight savings time. So we've showed you it's significant. Inherency has it happened, and no, nobody's doing anything about it yet. Topicality is our plan within the resolution. Yes, it is. And solvency, will it solve it? We've shown you that we will solve the problems like the increased car accidents and health risks and the wasted money. So we will solve this problem. This is a serious problem. Daylight savings time is hurting people. It isn't doing what it was made to do. Why should we keep a law that is hurting people? The 30 deaths I mentioned might not feel like much, but that's until it's someone that you know. Hang on. You could be the most healthy person, you could do all these things to stay healthy, even prepare yourself for the daylight savings time change, but all it takes is one drowsy driver to crash into your car. Why risk it? That is why I strongly urge the judges to vote for affirmative, for your safety, and for your health. Vote for your kids and your family's health, safety, and for your health. Thank you all for being here. I have nothing left to say.